me this way. Do re mi. Hello. This is no joke. I want to have the proper tone, so I can be listening because no, this is critical. George Washington had to leave slavery in Wethersfield, Connecticut, slash Hartford, Connecticut, right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Now he had to leave overt slavery with with color. This is also he had to leave what was many nations involved with racketeering, like especially with mental health care, with psychology, with databases, with a vertical and horizontal database crime method, also interbranch. But here's what's critical: even though it's from with the line progressions and all the, you can't describe that and counter it because it's a fact cheap in nature. No racketeering, black and white. In other words, you're a fake law. You're lying. You're with physical delusions. Now, all Americans want, all humanity wanted and needs to understand since semi-ancient times what organized crime method would motivate such. And remember, we're speaking just about the fact cheap in nature racketeering, obviously. Liars. What their motivations for those lies were actually. Not by accident, the only thing that people are allowed to say is prejudice, when obviously, actually, it's organized crime, racketeering method, a breaching racketeering method using human fact cheap nature. But now this is where it's critical, important, because before the trinity of the branches or manifest value of the republic, as the campus's systems manifest values in semi-ancient times, criminally re-engineered. The ancient republic, revealed by nature sciences that were working as one before nations became criminally foreign influenced. That's when formal roles with databases became out of control. States and areas criminally foreign influence in semi-ancient times self-valued. The real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures blame the other things others themselves. Now, this is what's critical, Tom. Before this, then while being the value of that, everyone was already associated with another method of organized crime against another method of vertical and horizontal value progression. An actual relationship. This is why the sequence of the past is relevant in the present. See, people want to debate these things out of sequence. That's why we have to counter. So they already have the branches enrolled as victims, but as victims that are also victim predators as each modern nation. And with sequence racketeering roles maintained. Then juxtaposed with other, and these are fact cheap in nature racketeering, like, for example, with shock and awe. Racketeering against presidents because they already have states and areas in collusion against the same nations that people spend their lives countering. Because where there's peace between those nations at the same time, divided here and there, never originally, never any unity, not other than abridged constitution, sub rosa, magic tricks, wording, leaving out the sequence racketeering roles and styles of liars, preventing free speech offensively. See, with slavery left, recorded past the Civil War, free speech then and now is recorded, prevented per a vertical and horizontal database organized crime method. It's not just to say that it came from before everyone was born. It's not, in other words, it's not just to say that all the nations are involved with keeping this the outcome because it's right through their nations. It just keeps relationships, it keeps them fighting where the counters to overtly sick like nuclear weapons, like the arrangements of all the kind of threats that they use military actions to counter, and to be ready to, you know, to sure threats for to that people won't arrange things to bad way things, vaccines. These are fake sides. So that is only used to maintain what keeps that perpetual. Everyone already invested, blaming the real cause. Everyone already invested, hiding, needing to hide finite, active, sequence shifts, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, and identity racketeering lies. Every time someone opens their mouth about what slavery is, any color, it's a, if you're not admitting that and how each modern nation left forsaken while they're pretending other, that's how they were raised by a overt criminal enterprise, racketeering. I'm not a lawyer. Racketeering method originally, and still this is recorded. Lawyers are incapable of defending themselves as brought all private. See, originally still they are private. You can't defend those things and defend the surface of the Constitution, which our founders left us to demonstrate, which is American history is really about. This is about the identity that is in demonstration to us simultaneously of the increasing value of the predicate to the act of the predicate of English and of the predicate act of the law, about totally different things, but simultaneously about non-distinctly and distinctly about the same exact thing that is the answer onto in every while being and from beyond whatever any answer could be positive. This is the identity of positive that we share. Note with water, needs for water. See, we have an identity of the ground, not by accident, self-valued in layers, self-valued, criminally foreign influence. See, now those layers in relationship to all the poor things that have nothing to do with that show correlation, motivations, natures, needs, interest, to pretend to believe positive means this or that, and or identity, pretend identity means this or that, when they know it doesn't mean that. They're just doing that to hide their lie progressions and their styles of lie, their premises treatments and their sequence treatments. So now this is where we have psychology also recorded originally and still delusions wrought and involved with a whole bunch of nations with racketeering with evidences, treatments, and courts. One-way reports. But before you can counter that, you have to counter how those nations that don't even like each other, like Russia and America, how they are recorded at the same time in inclusion with a whole bunch of other nations with racketeering acts with databases tied clicks, with vertical and horizontal database, with criminal uses of people along routes, like the route that goes right by the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices. People on off that with the Enzo Fienza. A whole bunch of people associated with former director of the FBI with racketeering leading up to winning cases and in the Trade Center attack, racketeering roles, racketeering acts roles with predicate acts, and one since with the investigators also. They attached me to fake conversations, forging names of other doctors and pretending conversations with themselves. Dr. Brendan Leahy, his son Brendan Leahy, other women in their family, also doctors, psychology people working with a triage, also with Lombardos, also with people with fire departments, foreign and domestic, also people with a whole bunch of agencies and military, foreign and domestic, involved with downtown Hartford, on spots on off Fox Connecticut News, on off WFSB. And now these are people that are in the intelligence community that are in see, they don't understand how they're in collusion because everyone's being attached to fake words. Each branch of government through time has been attaching kids to fake locations because how the groups, the branches were raised at criminally foreign influence together and hiding that. Now, a whole bunch of people associated with the principal child offenders campus. If you go through the woods behind that school, then there are other people associated with the DeMoro family. A whole bunch of police forms with CCSU and with other colleges, with the intelligence community, with other nations, and overt criminal enterprises recorded and involved with them with mail crimes, identity thefts, identity frauds, identity racketeering, property thefts, faking words of people, forging names of doctors, pretending people met doctors that I never even met, pretending little kids were, I had a doctor when I was a kid tied to me, because there are then people with the intelligence community, foreign and domestic military, shared policing of the campuses from off them, maintaining them long already invested value treatments. You know, they former director of the FBI down, Robert Chevrolet, his lawyer, Robert Roluskin, Robert Chevrolet, also his lawyer, and the location of his lawyer's office, and location roles, places, and people associated with that street, and which is with the Harriet Beecher Stowehouse and her roles with the concept of Jim Crow, and with Mark Twain house right there on their, you know, with their house there together, and where they put the water underground there is all, and how they built the pathology of infrastructure that was before cars, forced with the torture and zoning laws involved with the fact cheating nature, slavery, and identity thefts of our founders. Now, this is identity racketeering against them. That is, you can't explain how they use color properly unless you do that. They're just dividing and conquering, and they're not letting demonstration of it. It would be one thing if they were. I would not. I don't blame anyone. If I was who I am, and someone said, "Oh, your color, because of your color, you're going to have different laws," I would be. I would still, you know. And you look around. We have a pathology of infrastructure of the forsaken. We have all involved with it as victims. The forgiveness is to demonstrate how, not to see if we. It's all right if you want to compare, but see, people want to do that without leaving out how we have hundreds of nations sharing police in suit and tie, natures of that, roles of that, identities law as liars, physical delusions wrought. That's why we have this pathology of infrastructure self-valued throughout the world. Means to it, means to afford it, not because of natural reasons dictated, but criminally foreign influenced, human fact cheaping nature formal dictated. Now, before you can address that, it's not just the nations alone. This is in a pathology maintains needed self-value by everyone in layers to continue to exploit that. When they this is a where they're using fact cheaping nature formally, they made the government pretend to be for torture, so they could pretend not to realize that they were already involved with racketeering, with evidences treatments, with tricks, fake recorded things, and all kinds of tricks, manipulations of juries, originally and still from the interbranch, individually grouped in together racketeering natures, methods, how motivated to it, recorded. Now, the people associated with the Weathersfield Pizza, and at the end of and then that's at the end of the street where it's on the Southern Highway, but it's at the end of the street where that perpendicular to it, that the state judicial branch is on, and then go down further, and there's an Oliveri house. I don't know if they still live there. They were involved with database racketeering with a whole bunch of people associated with former director of the FBI and his federal criminal co-defendants. And now, see, these are people that are involved with a whole bunch of nature of people with other natures of crimes, with child offenders on the sex offender registry, especially if made up, because they're further involved with all kinds of vertical and horizontal database racketeering and interstates with Trade Center leading up to it, and since with it with the same people that facilitated, influenced the crimes that are connected, but with fact cheating nature. And now these are crime rolls where people don't even realize it because they're not even guilty of it a lot of times, because they put everyone into fake locations in the past because they make a method of, there's various natures of courts that already have knowledge that they need to hide individual groups, and together they need to hide lie progressions and their actually recorded natures and the actually recorded causes of it from the presidents of the United States, whoever becomes the president, originally and still. We have sub rosa racketeering language, leaving out their roles with sequence racketeering. That's why it's important to understand, too, again, the identity of the ground that is being exploited before then while our founders were born, before then while slavery was originally instilled. Now, in other words, roles with a fact cheating nature racketeering method, forcing the wrong outcomes in critical locations, keeping what we could afford used for torture, used for slavery, used for way worse than child abuses, intercampuses of each age, especially on urban areas. And it's important when we come down to the why we have to also have pseudo rhetoric and rhetoric discerned distinctly, formally, and pseudo semantics discerned distinctly, formally from semantics, because of how time is originally instilled, with all these motivations, natures, needs, interests involved with what is recorded, breaching racketeering method maintained, juxtaposed a whole bunch of focused evidence reception predators pretending to record things, and offensive evidence perception pretending to perceive things. Racketeering roles and natures regarding the impositions on Hartford, Connecticut, let alone New York, nations throughout the world. The path out, we're in a trap that's tactically denatured relationship, identity of the ground relationship to the identity of our quality of fact cheating nature's value. Per a value system, progression system that these market positions are tactically ulterior from, that we're in a semi-ancient trap. It's all right if you want to speak about markets and all that, but don't steal people's identities so you could prevent counters to what is way worse than, again, interbranch vertical and horizontal database racketeering. A Steven Stocco, a Zano family, a whole bunch of people with a Faenza family and their extended family members, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. A whole bunch of people with a Faenza family, racketeering acts roles with police forms on off, and with foreign domestic overt criminal enterprises, wrongdoing roles, and roles with clicks with predicate acts on off CCSU, on off Hartford campuses, on off Wethersfield campuses through time. Now these are prosecutorial families also involved with the racketeering with the child sex offenders, and with wire crime methods, mail crime methods, criminal uses of courts to prevent counters to their rape threats. Their uses of New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page with a whole bunch of people with different names with the spelling KNERR. There's also Officer Jerry Miller, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved further with CIA and FBI, with Facebook involved with sexual and medical offenses against kids. and against adults after they did that through time. Those adults don't even realize they're attaching everyone to fake locations. Now there are a whole bunch of people next to the Fazina house. That's the people with the Weathersfield pizza. I never knew her when she was in high school. See, a whole bunch of people tied to her pretended they knew me when they were in my grade. Pretended they hung out with people younger than them, and they pretended me that I knew them because I don't know a lot of the cousins. There was a cousin of a neighbor that was in my grades growing up. Came in when I was in fourth grade. Came into a house that was tied to the former years ago police chief's reported girlfriend. Also involved, no, so he has a Phil Collo also involved further with confessions by people tied to the whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Whole bunch of people with state police and other natures of police, FBI and CIA involved with his family with child sex offenders further, like a Phil Collo, and with foreign and domestic families associated with forensics labs through time. These are people involved criminality with the transition from Aka to Rico. These are people also criminality with a whole bunch of people with a Joshua Julian and with coaches of teams and a crime method using their sensibilities the same way they're using the sensibilities of little girls, to hide what they have. They're faking people to fake locations and fake conversations with others, fake natures of fake friendships with them, like fake communications with them, wire crime roles where they're pretending to perceive things too, the FBI, CIA, because their family members are criminally involved. Whole bunch of people associated with the Samuel Dix house, with around that corner, with racketeering, with interbranch racketeering, where they crime methods recorded and natures recorded individually, and methods of covering it up too, and then grouped and together, distinctly and non-distinctly. How they are motivated to that group and stuff that is maintained through a whole bunch of nations maintaining the same way. The only peaceful counters to sick things are in collusion with what is torture method that has, like, for example, that poor kid with North Korea. And I'm not saying North Korea is not a victim too. They have in every nation as a victim predator, because everyone's blaming the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, natures, other things other than themselves. It's not just because military reasons why everyone needs to have all the craziness. The count did be ready to blast everyone off the planet. It's because we have a tactically denatured relationship to nature and to means since before cars, forced with the factory nature, slavery, torture of our founders. They will not let our founders recorded identity theft be anything but glorified in America. They have recorded physical delusions every time someone opens their mouth about what is socialism, what is capitalism, what is communism. They have recorded criminally foreign influence fact treatment natures of convictions, of quality of premise treatments, quality of sequence treatments. No. See, that's where the sequence, we can never counter where Captain keeps our branches criminally foreign influence, our military criminally foreign influence recorded easily, tied to this too. People associated with the VA. They share their relationships to uses of mental health people with Harvard Hospital, recorded and confessed and demonstrated while racketeering with them. Uses of their identity where they got little people involved with child offenders. They want to pretend their integrity of names of these branches, like Marines, stuff like that. Oh, stick up for other Marines. Get them off my name and down. I'll gather round. So on the other side of the houses around the principal child defenders campus, also with male and female doctors, further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involve attaching me to fake conversations with them, fake behavior, no fake yelling. And when I do yell, see, they couldn't. There was a reason for that, because these are people involved with gun crimes, drug crimes, and threats in bug spray, all kinds of real estate crimes with people on and off the state judicial branch offices, with people already involved with interbranch racketeering in cases already, criminal uses of depositions tied, because these are crime methods and natures of crime and motivations of crime. No one's letting report it. So they perfected the involvement of online platforms by having them. We're trying to figure out how to react when people have differences, but they put behavior options. In other words, but not sequence true. They have, for example, just the sequence racketeering shows all kinds of natures of identity thefts, identity racketeering, threats. Weathersfield police recorded threatening and acting to pretend things recorded and meet a fake conversations with people. Now they need to have me, like the two, Janito Mendez and Eric Mendez, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with crimes with the Weathersfield Police Department and inside, outside criminal action roles with offensive evidence reception, pretended recorded things, and perception, where they pretend to perceive things and they use them for acting with that, so they can make it look like they didn't realize. These are vertical and horizontal crimes because these are people forcing sustained abuses of kids, because then they exploit what the crime methods they use on campus with recorded through time, confessed through time. Interbranch family members confess, record, and demonstrate that their crime acts roles with overt criminal enterprises. They also overtly pretend other passions and emotions, so because they're being coached to say things into records when they already say other things into records actually, but they don't let time treatments, not but without all facts used as lies, as the sequence shifts reveal. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They told CNN, I can help you guys. I'm not even a lawyer. I'll show you how they're using the law originally and still types of law, defenses of that. Oh, that's my job though. Preventing free speech while they're attaching everyone their roles, consolidating more and more ways. People prevented from response while the courts interbranch the whole time are attaching people to fake words, fake locations, fake ties to others. Now these are people, Weathersfield Pizza, and on the other side, and then there's this Fianza family. These are people also recorded, confessed, demonstrated federal crimes. A whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court associated with them, and other courts like Hartford courts, crimes leading up to and in a 2006 district court case with interbranch police, with foreign and domestic military police. Also on and off CCSU, on and off Trinity College connected crimes, and with people crime roles, with people long with houses next to there, facilitated to crimes with this, and they have the word crimes. These are people using the word every time they use the word crimes. Interbranch originally and still, they're high predators. They're consciously knowing they already did use all words to scare people, not because they think they don't want they're going to be a danger to anyone, because they already are high, worse than most killers, evil, sick, and roles with the overt criminal enterprises recorded involved. Roles, criminal uses of all the identity of the ground to keep this going. Then the interbranch originally and still. It's in that sequence. And that's important because of the sequence racketeering and the free speech prevention. So Weathersfield Police has a whole bunch of people associated with a Vega family, a Sammy Vega and Vega family involved with Justice Department racketeering here in Puerto Rico, in Mexico, people with prison cliques, training of them with CCSU, involved with racketeering with the streets, with private criminal enterprises still uncharged, with interbranch ones, criminally foreign influence, intermilitary still, all kinds of natures of courts, distinctly and non-distinctly, effectively, easily maintain criminally foreign influence, delusions wrought, victim predators, raised as that the same way the overt criminal enterprises are demonstrated, recorded, and confessed, involved. They have the only interactions of people. You're going to be roles with this. Their minds. It's just your minds. So they also force speaking through everyone speaks through others, and when they speak and criminally too, tied to when they won't speak with you directly, they won't put anything in writing. And when I mean that, they won't put anything legal in writing. And when I mean that, they recorded, confessed, and demonstrating just using the type of legal. Like they put a charge down. They forged names, switched names, put falsified police reports into databases, admit that they have police forms from a whole bunch of police forms from East Hartford and political families of all levels, mayors, former Governor Malloy. Please answer, Governor Malloy. You never had a conversation with me in your life. You're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with people forcing sustained crimes with Joshua Julian, spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises, proven in cases before and further directed, further recorded, confessed with federal criminals, proven, further criminally involved with kids, and with former director of the FBI down, his co-defendants, his lawyer involved criminally, criminal uses of that area, a whole bunch of people on and off CCSU, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved racketeering, even with the military. Disgusting. That when they say people are committing suicide, you can't even believe them because these are people involved with end of the Berlin Turnpike. A whole bunch of people pretend involved with pretend conversations, pretend locations tied to me through time. Whole bunch of identity theft, racketeering people. So they make you. They put little illusions they try to film, like associated with Fred Grisey, and then they pass out all those mushrooms to the kids. I don't know those kids. When I was young in Hartford, Connecticut, at the end of the Brown Turnpike, tied to Fred Grisey. He's involved with the Wethersfield Police Chief's family, his daughter, and Reno Mazzucato, his brother and sister, their kids, a whole bunch of people intercities involved racketeering with my name, identity thefts, attaching everyone to fake locations with other branches of government like judges, retired and standing, people involved on and off the state judicial branch offices, pretending to perceive things, acting so they can pretend to perceive things and pretend to record things, as the people involved with actually pretending to record things like the Janito Mendez, Eric Mendez police, a whole bunch of people associated with a whole bunch of names. Now they're stacking because that's what the director of the FBI did. He involved a whole bunch of people that with the child campuses through time. There's a guy named Dow. There's a guy named Gao involved with FBI, CIA, involved criminally with UConn through time. A whole bunch of doctors and policing from on and off campuses of each age. Again, with the vertical and horizontal database racketeering. Then with Facebook. This was before our founders. Then with founding, what they had to leave, which is sickly distinct intercolony because it was meant to perpetually stay blamed on other things, others themselves. All that is only capable, is only capable of blaming the real causes of negative value nature, progressions, action natures, on other things. As now Romulus is home. Republic wait. She mandates course. The Santa Claus will blow your doors down now with force. If I'm not responded to, then the Attorney General is obligated to take federal stewardships of Connecticut, and we have California, and we have military involved with that racketeering with how they entered police forms, intermilitary police form. We have a brothers, a whole bunch of people associated with military police forms with with corners with the corners of the streets. perpendicular from these ones routes too, all streets. But we're gonna deal with the one Weathersfield Pizza, the people on and off the state judicial branch offices, New Britain, a whole bunch of people in New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with evidence racketeering, evidence perception, acting so they can pretend to perceive things and so they can pretend to record things, because they're also making time treatment crimes with their roles with sequence racketeering, where they're attaching little kids and their family members and everyone to fake locations and relationships to others through time and natures of relationships to others. And they're hiding their actual natures, this recorded natures this way, which is we're involved with them preventing free speech, which is involved with them stealing properties and stuff, not just in courts, stealing people to fake words and things. In other words, we have the whole courts used originally and still for racketeering. They can't defend them for worse than rich trials, worse than a hoax, which is a great word for it. High omegas, alphas, extinction. The real omega is nature. And is that semi-nature of what is alpha omega trinity, which is the value of the identity of volume we are already here, which fills more here or leaves of IDs in relationship to its identity of relationship to itself. The one identity of relationship that all identities of value progression have to each other at once, and because of how it is the value of that in demonstration of it. See, we have values course, values actual algorithm, prevented discernment, because we have an offensive, sickly distinctly, but sickly non-distinctly, racketeering method against each age of fact, cheating nature, intercampuses, intercities through time. There were a whole bunch of people further involved with this on and off the state, the middle school in town, on and off the high school in Weathersfield through town. So the Weathersfield has a state judicial branch of offices criminally involved through time. Weathersfield has on and off the state prison offices. It was half Weathersfield, half Hartford, and which is involved with people, a whole bunch of people. See, thousands of people were affected to crime rolls with the kid who came into my moved into the old police chief's thing, who was involved with his extended family members with the new police chief, and with a whole bunch of people associated, retired and standing, to associate him like with the Dillon family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with a whole bunch of natures of child abuse of each age of fact cheating nature. And now those people are also associated with, if you go on the other side of the high school, there's a little woods there. People associated with Mike Lamonte, and people associated with the DeMoro family. You go a little bit further, there's a reservoir. Other side of the reservoir is the Fazina house, and her neighbors are involved with racketeering with the Weathersfield Pizza people. A whole bunch of people, Maria Fazina's past boyfriends and her regular friends and her husband, involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of people, intelligence community associated with Paul Zeno and his family and his cousins, associated racketeering roles like wrongdoing in relationship to predicate acts clicks on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU, interstates, a whole bunch of people associated with uses of Johnson Wheels, marketing and food services. This is this industry. This is our job. See, that's a value nature system. Other. See, but when it comes time, that's why there's mandated law. Titles don't mean what they mean. They're saying, "Oh, we have a list that means this, that." And so there's sequence racketeering, identity theft racketeering, worse than identity theft, identity fraud, and identity racketeering simultaneously. Not a lawyer. We're going to need federal stewardships because I can't get a response. WFSB stole my identity. Fake words with them. The recorded, confessed, and demonstrated um, evidence of racketeering acts and roles with interbranch actors in Connecticut leading up to and in a 2006 district court case, and with a whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family, and then crimes with the child sex offenders. These are all people crimes with the investigators of the Trade Center attack, involved with a whole bunch of people tied to a Joe DeMauro family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with all kinds of wrongdoing against one of the victims in there, and against girls associated with the with police forms and court, judges retired and standing in prison cliques. There's like a long view place in Middletown. I've never been there, but they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with a whole bunch of database racketeering roles. But to counter that, they have all the people involved, and they have the branches involved, and they have the private involved in the military. But you also have to counter what came first, which is the first vertical and horizontal racketeering method is against the identity of the grounds, relationship to our quality of fact sheet nature. That's why we already have a tactically denatured relationship to nature, self-value, but already that maintain manifest a whole bunch, all those natures of needs and liars of lie progressions manifest needed to hide the same lies, physical delusion, sequence shifts, finite, active, progressive lies, identity racketeering lies at the same time, not by accident. And so that recorded consciously, sickly, juxtaposed as offensive evidence perception and offensive evidence reception racketeering roles, formal, informal, private, overt criminal enterprises, and archetypal criminal enterprise breaching organized crime method using human fact sheet nature recorded juxtaposed. This is not complicated. If I try to speak all, teach everyone English, it's not complicated. It's just extensive. We have to just do it in steps. See, but those steps are offensively preempted because there's maintained criminal uses of us as a nature of volume we are, which actually nature, which uses a science by a simultaneous nature and nature as identity. Nature is what has relationship to both positive and negative as value progressions course. I'll drop the force, fake sides. It is Trinity, this correlations course, it is science rise. All rise. So we teach you guys logic because they were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. There was a whole bunch of doctors associated with a Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors, involved also with judges, involved with racketeering acts already with real estate companies, roles, racketeering roles with real estate companies associated with this, Anna Dillon, and my new and past neighbors associated with a Kevin Dillon, with a Sean Dillon. And those are people associated with houses around this Maria Fazino, who's on the other side of the woods, on the other side of the campus with the child sex offender, further with houses. Now there's another house on that street with a family that was reported taken hostage in their house before. Now at one corner, now another corner of that street, that's in the middle. In another corner of that street, the whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with prosecutors and with pretended perception and reception, pretended recorded things, sequence racketeering roles with houses with that other corner, and with a Rick Sinacia and Faglione recorded, confessed, and a Brian Silver and a Brendan Leahy and his father, and the father of Brendan Leahy, involved with them with racketeering with the kids, drugs with the kids, where they use that to control each age of the boys and girls, where they're going to hide lies while they're juxtaposing the quote right to lie unquote, where they're using that to hide their individual groups. And these are even people involved further with men and women with the FBI and with criminal uses of WTNH on off their locations, on off Yale, on off UConn. So they have a whole bunch of jobs in relationship to mental health people, a whole bunch of natures of people associated with interbranch, like programs for things, everything like that. I don't know what they're called. Like if you go to court because you get arrested, especially when they make things up, they know they are recorded consciously, knowing that police make things up against people, but they pretend not to realize that. And because the state's attorney's office is doing that through time. The other media are doing that through time. The recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that they pretend other, but what they actually record, they pretend other criminally. But what they actually communicated, demonstrated, and recorded is that their roles with reports of a shooting, real or made up, they have recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, actually made up racketeering uses of both fake sides there. Whereas now they're fake sides in collusion with some child sex offenders intercities tied to the people with the drug clicks next to the Fazinos with their houses there on the other side of the woods. And this now we go from an Oliveri house. We go from Oliveri house, the state judicial branch office in Wethersfield Pizza. And these are people involved with the Julian and Joshua Stryker, further involved with the racketeering intercities with that acts roles that are preventing counters to force sustained juxtaposed natures of crimes. They're also recorded consciously, criminally, pretending not to realize that they are juxtaposed natures of crimes that are connected, and that you can't counter it until you get, because we have the various natures of courts, recorded, demonstrated, confessed, are involved preventing mandated law by vertical and horizontal database stacking, identity racketeering, stealing our identity, stealing us to fake words, fake recorded things with the other branches through time. Now, these are people involved, again, what is very simple to demonstrate, were actually recorded offensive evidence perception and reception racketeering natures, originally and still, regarding values like the Forsaken and mass. Now, see, all we have to do is admit that. And simultaneously, we have to admit too what they're using for excuses to pretend not to realize, which come down to fact treatment nature and positions and roles with what is private that you can't value and defend proper value progression at the same time. But they're valued because that's forced in relationship to the only realized fathomable counters to what is through every modern nation already effectively maintained terrorism, worse than terrorism. Racketeering roles overt. This is where the overt criminal enterprises and where the branches and with the military are operated remotely by and as one identity of value progression. Again, only capable of valuing the real causes of everyone lying about to spot onto the forsaken grouped individually and together. There was also a Brian Bonin, and there were a whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the corners, further along this route. They're also recorded. So now we're going to Maple Street. Oliveri family, Joshua Stryker, people on off the state judicial branch offices, and Wethersfield Pizza involve child offenders, involve racketeering roles with leading up to in the Trade Center clicks with sequence shifts, database crimes, wire crime roles, mail crime roles, identity theft crime roles, Evidences crime rolls with Wethersfield Police. Whole bunch of people on and off CCSU involved with them criminally. The acting department. Whole bunch of people with the English department involved with them criminally. A whole bunch of people with other campuses involved with those same ones criminally. Hundreds of thousands of names. Now, I didn't hang around with those people that hung around there and did drugs with the woods, and there's like cows and stuff there. When they pretended I was associated with them, I probably would have been like any other kid there. But you know, they did something with that. They have everyone locked into whatever they're. In other words, there's something with the Sammy Vega's roles with CCSU recorded, confessed, and demonstrated through administration's racketeering acts roles and methods, and nature's actually recorded. See criminal and seditious nature. So we have people pretending that, you know, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, pretending they're offensively pretending that they don't realize that they're criminal uses of statutes, of the wording of statutes. The pretending things recorded into databases worse. How they're motivated to that. So they're recorded pretending that the directors of the FBI have integrity that they know they don't. So everyone's just going for their job. They don't care about. You know, the Forsaken. That's slavery. That's worse than slavery. Worse than slavery is the identity racketeering and torture and forced sustained uses of that. Then line progressions only gave. We have recorded in each of the sciences with physical delusions, criminal foreign influence involved with the mandated law racketeering prevention method. So then there's a Wethersfield, like Wethersfield Heights, they called it, or like what they call like the projects. Just like the same pathology of houses, but just a little cheaper built. And they have those people also involved with sequence racketeering, with a whole bunch, with, you know, even like, you know, military, foreign and domestic, interstates, worse. A whole bunch of people racketeering roles, uses of shared policing spots. Now there are a whole bunch of people with a Scalora family, and with a Phil Cololo, further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crimes with the people on and off the campuses, with the child sex offenders, and with the medical families that attach kids to fake locations, that pretend people have the recorded, pretending people have mental diagnosis. They're using diagnosis symptoms criminally in Russia and here, as people involved recorded Russians and other nations involved with this Leahy family, with Hartford Hospital used criminally. These are also people with all kinds of natures of racketeering roles with interbranch and overt criminal enterprises and media racketeering roles with database records on and off Hartford Hospital, on and off this little spot pathology of Townsend, on and off Hartford, originally and still set up and maintained, originally stupid, worse than stupid. Criminally foreign influence delusions wrought and self-valuing it because everyone's a victim predator the same way the overt criminal enterprises are. Now, they also have recorded, confessed, and demonstrated undercover police forms, recorded, confessed, because they were involved with the racketeering, where if you try to tell them they're racketeering acts, the undercover people, they pretend, oh, it's just undercover, it's a right to lie. But they're doing those things because they're pretending emotions and passions, because they're tied to further crimes and cases already. Crimes in databases already actually recorded. All kinds of criminal methods with the treatments of fact treatment nature, worse than witch trials originally and still. People the same way the overt criminal enterprise, they're recorded even needing to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies insidiously. Sequence racketeering roles, lies insidiously with the branches. Again, with the undercover juxtaposed, not by accident. Like people involved with a Joey Quest and with John Maiano and his family, and the location of a corner near that. There's his grandmother's house in Hartford, which is at the end of the Burlington Turnpike. Then it turns to Hartford, and it's like one of the places there on Maple Avenue, or Broad Street or Avenue. I don't know which one. In other words, this person's also know a whole bunch of people associated with that golf course. Well, the golf courses. So there's also a guy with the name Dow, and there's a guy Dow, and the FBI is also involved with all kinds of racketeering with prescription medications, and with mental doctors, forging names, switching names, with foreign and domestic cliques needing to hide their life progressions. We have a whole bunch of people recorded confessed involved with and as counters to Russia that are involved with collusion with them, with the racketeering, with their roles with fire departments, on and off Trinity College, on and off Wethersfield, on and off the park. So we go the state judicial branch offices, Wethersfield Pizza, and state judicial branches in the middle, Oliveri family, and then there's the bridge, so, right before the bridge. Then the state judicial branch, Wethersfield Pizza, a Fazina family, a whole bunch of people with WFSB and Fox Connecticut News, racketeering acts leading up to and in a 2006 case against me and against a whole bunch of other people. And all and as witnesses of the plaintiff, and as the defendants, and that's with former director of the FBI and his co-defendants, and their kids are also involved, and with the Dearborn Street in Newington, with the ones involved with the racketeering in my town, with the databases, also with the Oliveri family, and with the Wethersfield Pizza cliques, and with the people on and off Two Rod Highway. That's the on off Two Rod Highway is the house with the Fazino is right off Two Rod Highway, and there's the reservoir behind them. Now, on the other side of the reservoir, there's like a dead end road, and then there's those woods in the school with the principal child defender. There are further men and women, nurses and doctors, and overt criminal enterprise, actual people involved with undercover, foreign and domestic, juxtaposed. And then overtly sick from this because these are corners of streets. No words. Roles and uses of systems criminally to hide their life progressions per crime methods, motivations, natures, needs, interests, like needing to pretend they're only trying to hide the shared policing of criminal of Justice Department racketeering in Puerto Rico and Connecticut and interstates with the campuses, on and off the campuses through time, sequence racketeering. Whole bunch of people with the sub-Bajerio recorded, confessed, to demonstrate involved sequence racketeering, where they act so people can pretend to perceive and record things on and off CCSU, involved with what Captain keeps locations on the Burlington Turnpike, and forensics cliques associated with, and all kinds of cases associated criminally with state police, FBI, CIA, other nations' police, a whole bunch of nations associated with Joe DeMoro, involved with them with database racketeering. So we're gonna go up the street a little bit. So if you take a right there, now you're in those little projects. But we're on Maple Street, which is right around the corner from Wethersfield Pizza. And this is with WT&H recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they have crime acts roles with people associated with the Delaferro family, who are involved further with child offenders with foreign and domestic medical families, and child sex offenders even, Medical Crime Act, a whole bunch of news crime roles with identity racketeering acts, and Justice Department racketeering, Pentagon racketeering, Trade Center racketeering roles on and off Weathersfield High School through time. People associated with marketing department, types of jobs of everything. See, the systems originally and still were used for what is manifest. I tell it best. So you need to follow mandated law. So they have these methods of recorded town offices, Weathersfield town offices, also involved with Weathersfield Pizza and these people further up the road. So now we go up the road a little bit. I forgot the name of the street. That corner. You go down. It's at the beginning of the entrance to Millwoods Park, and that goes straight into Walker Hill Road. But see, but we're going to stay on Maple Street, and after we pass the Oliveri House, the state judicial branch offices, houses next to it, and through time, people who sold parts of that big portion of that recorded, confessed, demonstrated by people associated, men and women associated, foreign and domestic associated with Fianza family, a whole bunch of people associated with Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors. So now they have the new real estate agents involved with racketeering there, because they weren't supposed to hide those things. It was worse because they've been doing this through time, preventing me from countering confessions made to me that no one even knows about. That's how how I know that they attach me to fake words. One of the ways. There's a whole bunch of ways. Therefore, I can't get a response to writing. There's because the judges, the state's attorneys, and prosecutors are forging names and switching names. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that it's tied to how we have nations police shared, because they're communicating with other people that made from other nations who made confessions, demonstrations recorded of same criminal uses of the identity ground locations, like Farmington Avenue is being used for sequence racketeering. A whole bunch of people tied to the name Officer Hunter, or they made that name up over the phone because they're wire crimes, mail crime methods. These are racketeering right through administrations, self-valued by administrations, because they're knaves. Each modern nation relationship to what really keeps negative value, nature, progression, acts, and natures. That's to the maintenance of what is torture, what is worse than torture. So they have everyone forced, scattered, and shared policed. Sick. Identity law, you can't defend that and do anything but value real cause of negative value, nature, progressive acts, nature, blame other things themselves. So we have retired and standing elections of mayors, elections of all natures of roles with it, recorded interfamilies, because in other words, these people that acted to my family members through time behind my back. These are people when I was in high school. They recorded themselves, and I recorded them, involved with vertical and horizontal database racketeering. But it's not just from there, and it's libogressions from there. But it's also recorded that we have to counter how they're not following mandated law, because it's already they're using it already, everyone in collusion from there already since before our founder's birth. In other words, each formal position of fact treatment nature is only capable of valuing their time treatments with fact treatment nature as told to be, and as persuaded to be, and as maintained only capable of reacting. See, you can't legalize criminal and seditious nature of positive. See, criminal and seditious nature of positive needs to make positive protraction out of correlation, correlation value, out of negative distinctly from our nature with no criminal foreign influences. So they're forcing everyone to self-value criminal foreign influences, physical delusions, which would be one thing if they allowed free speech, if they allowed mandated law actually followed. See, we have people knowledge of the law pretending that means that they don't realize themselves recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering natures of the law and as the law and how maintained, used remotely. Whole bunch of people next to the locations of the media locations, not by accident. Whole bunch of people on and off the Fox. So AT&T, can you guys help? Ask a Spotter family, especially a woman from the FBI or the CIA, to respond, because there are programs with the kids and they're involved, recorded, confessed, involved with people I barely know and not at all that were involved and are involved with kids attached to fake locations through times and their roles with all kinds of natures of drug crimes and uses of them with on and off campuses with the interbranch and military, foreign and domestic, recorded how to maintain criminally foreign influence. So you have to see how they use the fake passions and emotions, how they use pretending to think people are talking about behavior when they mention. So there were rape threats made from the New Britain Superior Court Facebook page. There were other natures of crimes and confessions recorded and confessed and demonstrated to me by strangers associated with the area. They did that so they could pretend I know them earlier because of the new and past neighbors, the real estate agency, the real estate agent and police forms involved with some untimely deaths through times connected. And that brought up the child offenders, not just the rape threats, online uses of Facebook. Facebook is involved with sexual harassment, identity theft, medical crimes, medical crime clicks. A whole bunch of people on and off Hartford Hospital, on and off other hospitals, recorded and confessed racketeering roles, uses of CCSU, of houses on and off it through time. They're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated it true. They confirmed it true. That was since before I ever met them. They repeated that to me, and so that's how long they've been exploiting all the fake training of fake integrity of law. So the Weathersfield Pizza, when we coming on to Maple Street now, it's turning into Maple Street, that little short route after we get off the bridge, in the state judicial branch offices, and people on and off it, a whole bunch of people associated with thousands of people just with these people here now. A Joshua, an Oliveri family, a Joshua Stryker, recorded and confessed. These are a whole bunch of people racketeering uses, roles, uses of UPS through time, vertical and horizontal, with the people involved racketeering on off CCSU, on off Trinity College, with this Joshua Julian, deans forging names and switching names, crimes on off campus though. So they're using the identities of the campus from off it. Also, a doctor of modern languages, Dr. Shu, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated uses of Trinity College from off of it with a whole bunch of other people recorded, confessed with him, involved with a probate court his wife works with criminally, to pretend to perceive things and pretend to record things not true, as criminal and seditious natures actually recorded of wrongdoing in relationship to uses of that known or not known by them. In other words, they have a method of criminal uses of the campuses from off them to hide their criminal foreign influences. All our stewards, states and areas, all database relationships, all identity of the grounds already invested, having been used criminally as fact treatment nature, as evidence perception and reception, as time treatments, because everyone needs to react to what is sick. But everyone was as methodically recorded, consciously maintained, effectively maintained, incapable of affording treatments of their jobs time values, and natures of convictions, especially with lawyers too. They can't speak in public, not without valuing sequence racketeering. That's preventing mandated law, because that's how you have to be counter what keeps it. So the branches here in other nations are already using the same crime methods. They're already the same sick natures. So when we try to speak with logic that's not criminally foreign influence and with actual coordination and with sequence true, they're already invalid. They can't take it, because then we'll show real answers. It will show what they were really recorded as and having been doing in cases every single day. Hear many pray. It's not just because they need people to be hurt and everything, everyone to be desperate and not enough money for things and all. That's the only time how we have to make the thing our job. We have to bring the top food out at this time. We have to do this. We're in a trap. These aren't our means. One way redeems. So we have each of these various natures of courts and their family members. We have a whole bunch of people with Eric Burgess, recorded, confessed, involved with on-off campuses, on-off religious spots, connected racketeering, uses and roles with types of marijuana and a type of drug crime roles with the military. Whole bunch of people associated with West Farmers Mall, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with them with crimes with deans, with their family members, and with I mean with military police. Ones from my town also associated with further racketeering. When we go up Maple Street further, then we go to with that corner. We're going to skip the first corner. I don't know the people that live there. There was a wire that was down there one time. It might be. Then we go down to we go down. There's two Carone brothers who are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering roles with people with the policing of the stores. And a whole bunch of police forms on and off CCSU through time, involved with also the Department of Transportation family, and a whole bunch of people with the Town Line Drive, the corner of Town Line Drive and South Steele Highway. Those businesses and locations recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. If you go up the street a little further, there's like a path that goes into the woods. That's just right through the woods. And the house right next to it is an Erica Donahue. I never had a conversation with her. One time I was in her presence. They tried to film other, and that's where Joe DeMoro and Heather Hansen and other girls, like they were both boyfriend of Heather Hansen at the same time, and there was other girls in the background that had conversations about me with Joe DeMoro and Mike Kerr, but they were told to pretend things, and they were told to make confessions and demonstrations that pretend other to me. Now, that was by courts, but it was also by them recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with various natures of criminal enterprises, involved with their sexual circles, and with how they get them to they involve girls with conversations where they're going to hide what they actually know, and where they hear their insights. They're going to try to figure out things from what they're given, but they're not going to be speaking true. So they're going to be communicating to other people that they're lying up front, and that they're lying in the furtherance of what little kids don't know how to counter, but they're aware of, which is fake passions, fake emotions and passions of teachers, real quick sometimes, in relationship to fake care, in relationship to a database illusion stacking, which is differential. It's keeping everyone stupid though. So there's a whole bunch of people associated with. So we go further up there. That corner, that's not a corner, but it's a corner of a path going into the woods, and we're still on Maple Street. And there's like a little hook street. That's where the somewhere there. I don't know which house it is. The twin brothers. Now these are all people associated with shared policing of the stores involved with the database racketeering, all kinds of natures of racketeering. Now that as people pretending it's legal, but it's not, because their evidence is racketeering. That's how I know they're racketeering. They're sequence racketeering too, preventing mandated law. So you go a little bit further up. There's a Meadowgate. First, there's I forgot. I think it's Valley Crest, and that's Joe DeMoro Street, and that's and then the Meadowgate that's on there near the corner there of Meadowgate and Maple Street. That's a Kerr family. But there's also a house near the corner with a black car, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them with racketeering with the some child sex offender cliques associated interstates with fire departments, inspectors, retired and standing, involved with them with racketeering leading up to in the Trade Center and since, and with the uses of Connecticut courts, Weathersfield Police Department, and other natures of police, state police, Rocky Hill Police Department, Rocky Hill State Police, Rosewood State Police, people associated with behind this the Big Y. There's a car dealer. There's like a boat dealership. That's recorded. All these people are associated racketeering roles with extended family members of and the person of and the people of the extended family members of the house that came when I was in fourth grade. Now these are people also associated with a whole bunch of people associated through time with the O'Brien family, with foreign and domestic racketeering, with uses of forensics cliques, uses of value treatments of an as identity as law, people that help them, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated high sick criminal predators, and fake science. The science, the scientific method is science, but they're keeping the scientific method to prevent it. Evaluating scientific consensus, modern nation sick. What maintains this outcome maintains everyone rolls with sequence racketeering, for example, which is one way to demonstrate recorded how everyone's a liar, not because they're legitimately directed to lie. So we have that corner of, then we go further up the street. I don't know. I barely know them. I barely know of them. A Gold family, a Goldberg, different from Gold. A Goldberg family. On another corner, there was a school right there too. You can see it from Maple Street. Now it's reportedly a retirement home or whatever. And so one corner up. Now we're at the corner of Griswold Street and Maple Street, and there is one of the Russian families that I barely know. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with other with people associated with the Leahy family. That's forging names and switching names of doctors, attaching me to fake roles with identity, fake locations, fake words, fake sequence shift relationships. There are also people associated with NASA, associated, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this. So this is everyone speaking through others. Then they pretend they know people because of what someone told them. Oh, but that's an officer who told me that. These are a whole bunch of people with a Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors. I don't even know my new neighbors' names. and or nor the past neighbors because they're extended family members, and they switch their names, and they have a family named Lewis involved with this, and they have sexual circles where they use that, like they have like lesbians and gay people cliques, couples and individuals that pretend that is they offensively pretending that they're against people are against them because of that, because these are people involved with their family members involved with the untimely deaths and all these natures of racketeering roles with this Dillon family, with the kids through time, with my name from the background through time, with his roles with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic family members and people associated with this Dillon, with this Leahy family, attached me to fake conversations about my family, fake pretended I had conversations about agencies, pretend like the CIA. Never had conversations. Then they prevent this from being demonstrated. They prevent counters to this because they have various natures of courts and their drug cliques recorded, confessed, and demonstrating, stacking more and more lies every time I speak about it. Because they already forged names, switched names, attached me to fake conversation with them. They had them, the recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with prosecutors through time that attached me to fake conversations with them, but since before they were prosecutors, per people tied to them. In other words, I never had a conversation with them. They make everyone speak through other people criminally. If you speak to them directly, they use that criminally too. They pretend, oh, that's our job as prosecutor. They don't. They know that's not their job. We need free speech. We need to have demonstrated, recorded, originally still criminally foreign influence, sick Justice Department, Pentagon. So they think that's what they need to do to train the military. Have rules with child sex offenders, sick punk fakes with other nations with psychology, a whole bunch of Pakistan. We need to Pakistani Muslims. There's nothing personal when I say Pakistan, especially. I'm talking about the psychology. These are people involved with justice, racketeering here, there. This doesn't care about anyone's religion. India. This doesn't care about the correlation nature's religions. Not one of them. It cares to have the identities of them grouped weapons of effect, cheating nature racket weapons, everyone states and areas of modern nations. Pathology of infrastructure recorded, criminally foreign influence zoning laws, tactically criminally unsafe, semi-unsafe. So then they forge names and switch names, and they use names misspelling online too. They use the New Britain Superior Court, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved. Further, with foreign and domestic, involved with our fire departments, with town offices, with elections crimes, and they have sheriffs of these courts involved with them criminally. With elections, I don't care if you get elected, the election's rigged. Town offices, a whole bunch of judges recorded, confessed, and demonstrated through time, racketeering, a whole bunch of military on-off houses, on-off two-route highway. There's one where there's a Victorian house recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Phil Collo, also further involved with child sex offenders with crimes of Bob Chase. Physical delusions wrought and crime racketeering with them, attaching me to fake conversations and relationships to this Phil Close involved with my neighbors, with the new and past neighbors, with the child sex offenders, untimely deaths connected, one on the campus of Trinity College, especially if made up. Because these are the people using the rights to make up things. Oh, we're going to have you deconstruct this and see if you can figure out this crime. If it was made up, if it was not made up, there was shooting. It's still connected. With racketeering with against with the Vega family. as one of the ones involved with the racketeering acts with CCSU, intercities, on off the campuses in Hartford of each age. There are a whole bunch of people with a Scalora family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with offensive evidence perception, evidence pretended recorded things in the database reception, racketeering tricks, methods, roles, natures, needs, and interests with child offenders as the ones most responsible for the shootings in the north end of Hartford, demonstrably the most forsaken, as the one punked fakes with the south end of Hartford. We can go in deeper. You can give me a goddamn name. Pick one name in sequence, though, into branch. Who disbelieves? I'm asking to follow mandated law now, and you lost. You're worse than lost. Our nation's revolution yet. You tools. Now, we're going to need that water of Connecticut River for Hartford, Connecticut. We're going to let Correlation Nature's identity have free speech now in sequence. True. Oh, Bob. Who says that we have? Who says that America was ever liberated? Who says that one identity of each branch of military is not criminally foreign influence? I'll show you the delusions. I'll delineate the delusions from the criminal foreign influences now. It is time. Right through administrations, we have child offenders. There are a whole bunch of people associated with the coaches of the teams too, with identity thefts, with the method exploiting little sensibilities like the little girls. Same racketeering, whole bunch of people. So in other words, then we go further up Maple Street. No, that's where the Kerr family, and that's the people with a black car with other houses. Now, before there's also a religious spot there. They changed the type of the religion, but these are also the people on off different religious spots, uses of sensibilities with that, and with Muslims religion, different Jewish community centers, the Weathersfield Community Center, people that live near it, involved with them through time, will affect because they maintain all roles with the identity of the ground being used criminally, which manifests with that maintained self-value manifest. I'll gather round, I talk best. Boxing is strong. So we have the geographical impositions and logistics of each city distinctly and non-distinctly exploited by the same thing that's non-distinctly the cause of negative value nature progressions, action natures everywhere, like predicate acts, natures like criminal and seditious natures, wrongdoers, boxings. I tell you things. So I'm not a lawyer, but demonstrably the lawyers have no integrity originally and still. And where and how they pretend integrity, they can't do it. They can't do it up front. So they have theater and they have the news networks involved with. I started talking about theater, then everyone started using the name theater. But I'm trying to talk about the theater of criminal and seditious nature and the acts that reveal it. They're just trying to obfuscate everything I say. I remember I used I used the adjective unhinged, and then everyone started using it. Never stopped. No, this is these are natures of leaderships of directors of agencies that you guys don't know. And so this is news coming, and it has been that was hid, worse than hid. And how they're hiding it is because they're making the news. So that's why we can't. The news private and the interbranch are already racketeering acts together. They're already racketeering methods already recorded together. They're already pretending other actually recorded by pretending things fake recorded into databases. And they won't let anyone deny it because they know it's true. So they have to try to do more tricks because they make problems where then they could arrest someone and have a court settle things after they already invested all kinds of people to opinions in relationship to things that are leaving out the sequence shifts to show that there are sick people playing games here intercampuses of each age, and they're forcing them sustained. We have the Weathersfield police chief's own daughter used. We have prosecutors indifferent to using their own kids to hide what they were inherited needing to hide because they're sick natures. Creatures' rights. Child tribes. So we're going to need response. See Renaissance. Please, CNN, please help. You recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. This is the worth of your sources associated with CCSU, interstates, as the people involved with the Trade Center attack context further criminally and with the investigators of it. And further with VA racketeering and medical families associated with, and military families associated with identity thefts, falsified police reports rolls, all kinds of nature of racketeering with that. Hey. So I want a response too for the military then. And I want a response for the Coast Guard for the involvements with the state judicial branch officers and people all along this route. We're going to go further up. Then you go to the next corner, past the people at the corner there, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering with the Scalora family with Russians. With also associated with that corner, and with people on the next to schools. You go further up the street, then there's a house at the corner there, and a house not in a corner, but near there on that Maple Street, still a Zano family. Those are the people with the. If you go a little bit further up, at the corner, other. So we go all the way up. All those corner houses have ties to a Zano family. These people with this Kerr family, this Zamora family, and foreign and domestic roles with Russians and other nations involved with racketeering, with databases, with all kinds of formal drug crimes, untimely death crimes, other overt drug crimes, criminal uses of fire departments, criminal uses of titles they pretend to have integrity that don't. They're criminal uses of statutes influenced by their roles preventing mandated law and preventing counters to sequence shift racketeering. So we have also recorded how they have each of the identity grounds stewards and relationships maintain criminally foreign influence, including the Congressional Building, including Park Street, for example, distinctly and non-distinctly, as we come to the members involved with this intercities, because this is on off the state judicial branch offices. Don't forget, all the way along this route, all up to Maple Street, all these corners on it. Then we come to Rocky Hill. Then we come with the corner. You know, we'll come, but they're all involved there. Then we go to the corner where they had the Starbucks, now reportedly confessed, demonstrated of associated with a foreign and domestic extended family member of the Weathersfield police chief. And then there's the diagonal across the street from that at the intersection is the Weathers police chief's daughter's reported hairdresser salon in a house on a hill there. And across the street from that is a gas station with a whole bunch of people on and off CCSU and interstate campuses involved with the people with the racketeering with leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context leading up to and these are people also. You go down a little bit further, then there's the DePietro K, and that's a place, a boat dealership right on top of the highway behind the woods that there and stuff that associated with Big Y. And now these are a whole bunch of people associated with Weathersfield police chief, criminal uses of all these locations with other nations. Overt criminal enterprises also associated with the families involved with the Russians and the overt criminal enterprises uses of Facebook and of the Facebook pages of the campuses and of the courts involved with child sex offenders involved with extortion of students based on their roles needing to keep raised criminally foreign influence stewards of jobs associated with them with racketeering. There are racketeering natures actually originally and still recorded. If you're entertaining even Jim Crow laws, especially Jim Crow laws because it's insidious, where I have a theme of it, then you're criminally foreign influence and your delusion's wrong. And I can prove this, but I need to demonstrate using the sequence shifts and the racketeering, where the state police are recorded consciously criminally pretending not to realize their misprision, recorded confessed and demonstrated racketeering roles and uses of the right to lie criminally, like in their roles with all kinds of natures of extortion and mail crime, wire crimes, with people with the Weathersfield pizza, with the judges retired and standing involved with criminal with the campuses and the drugs with the kids, and uses of that with sequence racketeering with whole ages, database racketeering uses of each of the campuses connected. So we need mandated law follow. Who's this guy Dow? And there are that forced a kid drugged in his house. Because next to one of the golf courses involved with the judges retired and standing, and the FBI and CIA families were involved with real sick natures and kids, and their families involved criminal with other families here, other nations here, whole bunch of people with Department of Transportation through time, and with a whole bunch of all this stuff mentioned associated with the locations at the end of Town Line Drive. The Kerr family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involvements with that, and with the policing of the stores, cliques, criminally involved with them, with a whole bunch of DeMorrow families involved with it. Eric Jensen, Eric Oliveri. Now these are the people involved with Joshua Stryker and Joshua Julian, with identity theft racketeer, with offensive evidence crimes, with Trinity College and CCSU that are affected to what is they're delaying counters to sexual, medical, and other natures of abuses of family members, lying to family members. The same people they're preventing counters to. They're attaching me when I speak directly to fake words, fake sequences, fake locations. When I speak through others since I was a kid, they've been doing this too through my neighbors. A real sick game. They also have recorded, confessed, overt criminal enterprises and the witness protection program in collusion with the same direct and indirect recorded ties to my street. The same house is used criminally. Overt criminal enterprises like Los Solitos, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with the people on and off Fox Connecticut News and buildings next to them, involved with a whole bunch of racketeering, acts and roles and natures associated with Social Security, associated with that also with agencies, racketeering with databases, physical delusions, criminally foreign influence natures, all kinds of racketeering roles with Justice Department fake upon Hartford, Connecticut, right on the other side of Fox Connecticut News. Don't forget. Then they put that they paint Nipsey Hussle's picture on the little skate park they put there below the building of Fox Connecticut News. They have the building security involved with their interbranch police and their private police and lawyers of Fox Connecticut News, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with racketeering with people on Two Rod Highway. Whole bunch of people associated with the Fiennes family on off the state judicial branch offices, with the racketeering with databases leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, leading up to and in the 2006 case criminally involved with them, criminal uses of intercity police, pretending to record things, pretending to perceive things. The recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts roles with a whole bunch of people on off Farmington Avenue, and like clubs there and stuff like that, whatever they do for training or whatever. I don't know if that's for training. They have people with the Narcan and all their narratives with that involved with the racketeering roles and uses of those drug cliques where they're undercover, involved with the actual criminal enterprises, crime acts with the interbranch, with the racketeering against strangers with those groups. So they're not just doing it undercover. These are a whole bunch of people associated with the FBI families up the street and stuff like that. We're going to seek them out with maps. We're going to because they will not follow mandated law. When you go in court, they attach you to they make confessions that they hid. They made actually recorded reality that they hid. Now they have two Methodist police with Wethersfield Police Department recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crimes in and out of New Britain Superior Court, with people also involved with online sexual harassment of the youngest kids. Not by accident, they're forcing those kind of concepts into their minds. This just reminds. There